Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Here we are in the middle of answering questions, and we were just finishing up with Barbara's questions, and we had talked about some insects, and several of you are battling with insects in your gardens this summer. The Japanese beetles, back to that, they are attacking a lot of things this year. Not just our roses, but they are really attacking a lot of other things. A lot of you have had issues on your basil, your sunflowers, your beans. If you have some particular shrubs also and trees in your landscape, they always seem to like burgundy leaves. So if you have purple leaf sand cherry or Japanese maples that are in that reddish tone, also the smoke bush they seem to really like, buckthorn, not a red one, but they really, really like the buckthorn. The ones at the garden center really got hit this season. And also snow fountain cherries, the weeping snow fountain cherries, the Japanese beetles just love them. If you still are battling with some of the Japanese beetles, remember the Japanese beetle killer, also Captain Jack's, works very well. If your Japanese beetles are about done, but you see a lot of bare leaves, that look like completely like a web because there's no inner tissue and it's just some of the veins showing in your leaves. Giving that plant some additional fertilization to really push on some new growth is going to be very good for your plant, no matter what it is. If it is like your basil that's an annual, or if it's a tree, all of those could really use an additional fertilization to push on some new growth. So the leaves are there for photosynthesis, and that's really going to help your plant look much better. The next question that we had was from Melissa, and she had a question about her hanging baskets. Her petunia hanging baskets were starting to look a little leggy. She fertilizes, but they still just weren't looking the greatest, and she was wondering what she could do about that. And I've talked about this in the past some. Trimming those up is really going to help. I usually like to do this around the 4th of July or very close to that. This is getting a little bit late, but still will work, especially if you want your hanging baskets to be looking really good for maybe Labor Day, a party that you're doing, or even later into September. Trimming that hanging basket, the plants that are hanging below the bottom of the pot, trimming them back all the way to the bottom or even a little above the bottom of the pot, trimming them back. And then if there's anything that's, sort of cattywampus, trimming all of that back. And yes, you are going to be sacrificing flower because a lot of times there's not a lot of leaf left, but just the flowers at the end. That's really, really good for the plant because then the nutrients aren't going to those flowers and it will go into new leaf tissue and bulking that plant back up. So trim it, and then every time you water, give it a light dose of fertilizer, or maybe every other time according to directions. And really give that plant some good balanced fertilizer. And you might want to even use a liquid one at this time instead of like the granular flower tone, because it's going to be a little bit more quick acting. And that's going to really help you boost that plant back up so it's looking healthy again, getting a deeper green color to it, and then also pushing out some new flowers. So make sure that you got it a little bit higher in the phosphorus. If you are doing just hanging baskets, and that's what you're really concerned about, even using a non-organic fertilizer, something like the Jack's or Fertilume has a really, really good one, something high in phosphorus, that's that middle number, that's really going to help push those in your hanging baskets and so that they look really, really nicely for you. A couple other questions that we had. Don was in and had some questions about his lawn. What application should be going down right now. If you are on or trying to be on an organic 4-step program, this is when you're going to want to put down your milorganite, that second application of milorganite. That first application, remember, was your corn gluten meal. A second application was going to be your first application of the milorganite, the end of May, first part of June, and then now another application of milorganite, and then the 1st of October, do another application of the organic corn gluten meal. And you don't have to worry about using Milorganite in the middle of the summer because of it being an all-natural. As long as you're following the directions, you are not going to burn anything because of it being an organic fertilizer, and you're going to have really good results with that. And if you are battling some weeds right now, the Weed Beater FE is going to control those broadleaf weeds. Now, if you are battling grassy weeds organically, not a post-emergent one right now. We've talked about that. So you want to make sure that you deal with that in the springtime with a pre-emergent corn gluten meal to stop those grassy weeds from germinating, and that will help you out a whole lot. Another issue that a lot of us are dealing with right now, especially since we had some rain this week, are the mosquitoes. And remember, there are some amazing ways to control the mosquitoes, and not just mosquitoes in your backyard, but the ticks, the no-see-ums, all of those little flying, biting insects, even the deer fly and the horse fly. The mosquito beater is an amazing product. Comes in the granular that you can sprinkle around inside the shrubbery, down around the ground, around your patios. It also comes in a hose end that you can actually spray directly into the trees and shrubs to really get a layer and a barrier around your decks and patios. Even if you have a pond and you like to play around the pond, the kids are fishing, putting the weed beater around the pond area, even if it gets in, it is not going to hurt. It is an all-organic product. Essential oil-based, cedar chips, a fabulous product to be using in those areas. Now, if you are going to be hiking and doing something like that, that weed beater isn't really going to be your product. But there are some great ones that we sell at the store to spray directly on you. And we also have the clip-its that you can clip onto your pants or onto your cap or your shoe that really, really work very well. All essential oil based. You really want to stay away from the DEET. Someone actually was in the store this week and said, "What is this DEET thing?" And, DEET is a chemical that has been tested and proven to cause all types of neurological issues with people. And when you're spraying that on your skin, it absorbs right into your skin and into your bloodstream. So staying away from those DEET products is difficult for some people because they're like, I get eaten up. But there are some amazing natural products. We've talked about this in the past. God gave us exactly what we need to control what we need. And we, as a human race, think that we can be smarter and we want to, do something better. But we have it there. We just have to use them properly. And the essential oils can really, really work. Blending a couple different essential oils work very well. And there are some essential oil companies that have some nice blends that you can use to really control those mosquitoes and those other flying, biting insects. And you can really get them controlled. So hopefully we have touched on some of the questions that you have. But if you have more questions that you would like to have answered, remember you can always give me a call at 330-455-5997. You can email me at Cindy Petitti, CindyPetitti @gmail.com. You can, of course, please come into the store with your questions at 5828 Columbus Road, right there on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway in Nimishillen Township. And you can do that between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Saturdays. We are closed on Sundays, so please don't bring me your questions on Sundays. Even if I'm there watering, I'd really appreciate just watering and getting done so I can go spend some time with my family and friends. So don't bring me your questions on Sundays. Several of you, I'm sure none of my listeners, but several people do bring me their questions on Sundays. They see me outside watering, and so they think it's a good time to catch me because I'm usually the one there watering early before church and then again after church. So I appreciate your questions. I love to answer your questions and help you out. But just like everyone else, you need a day off. The Lord says, take a day to rest. Now, my plants have to be watered and the animals have to be fed. But having that day of not answering questions is sometimes a great blessing to me. So thank you all so much for keeping your questions until until Monday morning, and I'll make sure I get them answered. So don't forget, Hall of Fame parade going on right now. If you haven't, if you're not already there and you want to still catch it, it's a long parade. It's going to be great. You're going to be able to really enjoy that. But if you're not going to the parade, you might want to hit the farmers market in Louisville, going on until noon today, and also in Alliance going on till noon today. I want to thank all of you so much for being with us and listening to our show each and every week. We will be right back here next Saturday morning at 8 a.m. right here on the Light 95.9. Thanks so much and have a blessed week.